Bonjour French 1. The purpose of this video is to walk you through some sentences and phrases that will allow you to use the classroom objects vocabulary in a complete sentence to describe what is or is not in your classroom. So keep in mind a lot of these phrases and sentences have blanks on them where you will fill in an actual item so that it will make sense to make a complete sentence. So when I say the actual phrase, I probably won't leave you time to repeat, but when I give you the example, I'll give you a chance to repeat after me so that you can see how it actually sounds with an item in it. So the first thing we have here is asking about items in the classroom. If you want to ask, is there a certain item in the classroom? You ask, il y a, whatever the item is, dans la classe. Il y a means is there or are there, or can mean there is or there are, and then whatever the item you want to ask about in the classroom. So if we, for example, wanted to ask about whether or not there was a poster in the classroom, I know it's kind of a silly question, but if you wanted to ask, is there a poster in the classroom? This is going to give you a chance to repeat. You would say something like, il y a un poster dans la salle de classe? That il y a phrase is really hard for English speakers to remember as being there is or there are because it looks nothing like it. Alrighty, if you wanted to answer that question about whether or not there is a poster, you've got two different choices here. Either you're going to say yes, there is a poster, or no, there's not any posters. So these are your two types of phrases for responding based on what the situation is and whether there actually is or is not a poster in the classroom. If you want to say yes, there is, the word for yes in French is oui. And that's this word right here. Most English speakers don't recognize that as being oui. They like to say oi. A lot of them know that oui is the French word for yes, but they don't realize that this is how it's spelled. So if you want to say yes, there is an item, you'll say oui, il y a, and then you'll fill in the item. So for example, if you want to say yes, there is a poster, you say oui, il y a un poster. If, however, there is not a poster, there are two words that they use in the French language to say that there is not something and make something negative. It's not just as easy as one word like the word not in English. They use the word ne and the word pas. We're going to be talking about that more in the future. For today, you're just going to memorize the whole phrase, but I want to tell you the difference between these two sentences, besides the yes changing to no, is the fact that they put in a ne and a pas, and that's the there is not part of it. So if you wanted to say that there is not a certain item, you would say non, il n'y a pas de, and then fill in the item. So in this case, the example we're using is saying no, there is not a poster, by saying non, il n'y a pas de poster. Long phrases for sure, and not something we're used to, so this is going to require a lot of practice. Make sure you're writing down both the phrases and the examples. Now, another way to ask about things in the classroom is to ask how many of a certain item are in the classroom. So maybe not just is there a poster, but how many posters are there. Or in case of this page, we're going to be talking about élèves, which are students. So the first thing you need to notice about these questions is it's still got the il y a dans la classe. There is or there are in the classroom. We're used to that part. But they add this question word combien, and you're going to see it a lot this year. Combien means how much or how many. So if you want to ask how many of an item there is in a classroom, you'll ask combien de, you'll fill in the item, and then you'll finish up with il y a dans la classe. So the sample question that we're going to use here, and I've got these flip-flopped here, I'm going to switch these on the fly. Sorry if you were only copying them down, but we've been doing the French on the left and the English on the right, haven't we? If you want to ask how many students there are in the class, you would ask combien d'élèves il y a dans la classe? And of course, if you want to respond, there's a way of responding by giving how many and actually filling in the number and getting specific about how many people or items or whatever it is are in the classroom. Or you can say that there are not any of whatever they're asking about. So in this case, we're going to say that there are 5 of them for students. The way you would say there are 5 of them is il y en a 5. And all that's doing is taking this phrase il y en a and tacking on a number. Here I use the number 5 because apparently there were 5 students in the classroom at the time. If, however, you want to take that there are a certain number and say there aren't any of them, that are not thing. Remember that not word comes in with the ne and the pas, and obviously we won't have to put a number. So if you want to say that there aren't any of them in the classroom, this is the same phrase twice because you don't actually have to insert anything for this example. If you want to say there aren't any students, as in there are not any of them, you would say il n'y en a pas. Try that one more time, but more fluently. Il n'y en a pas. Pretty crazy and difficult to say sometimes, but definitely good to practice. Again, these are kind of some strange phrases because of the whole il y a phrase, meaning there is or there are, but we're going to practice them a lot, and they allow you to speak in complete sentences and describe things like a classroom. So that's pretty nice.